I love bad controls. What I mean is that most modern games are very focused on user experience and making crazy moves and combos really easy to pull off, often by just pressing one button. Sometimes it's so easy that the immersion is broken. So one of the things I enjoy when I play older games, such as Metal Gear Solid 3 and Shadow of the Colossus, are the difficult controls. In the old version of Metal Gear Solid 3, how far you throw grenades depends on how hard you press the square button. And while shooting your gun is square, aiming down sights requires you to press square lightly. It's kinda like if Street Fighter's heavy punch, medium punch, and light punch were all one button. And this makes the game a lot more intense, as you struggle to be precise but also quick. To go even further, circle is the CQC button, and pressing it results in the classic punch-punch kick, but holding it down puts the enemy in a chokehold, and after that you can rapidly press circle to choke them. Doing this too much breaks the enemy's neck, and slamming the circle button firmly slits their throat. And if you switch from circle to square quickly, with square being the shoot button, you can use the enemy as a human shield. You can play through the entire game without knowing some of these, and that's often one of the best parts, is not knowing a move exists and then accidentally pulling it off and being like, wow, or completely failing at what you were trying to do. Shadow of the Colossus doesn't have as many surprises with the moves you can pull off, but I do like how you have to fight the controls to execute the basic mechanics. The game is all about taking on these giant colossi and defeating them, often by slowly climbing their body and striking their weak spot. But as you climb them, you have to constantly hold down the right trigger to keep your grip. To jump while climbing, you have to hold down X to ready yourself, and while still holding down the right trigger, turn the stick to aim at the place you want to jump, and then let go of X to leap, and then let go of the right trigger and hold it down again to grab the area you want to land. Hitting the weak spot is then all the more difficult, with your stamina depleting and your hands getting all sweaty and your fingers still holding down that R2 button, and the Colossus is trying to shake your thin character off as he barely holds on. You then have to hold down the square button to pull your sword back, and then quickly slam it again to thrust your sword into their flesh before the Colossus tries to shake you off. The zoom effect combined with the difficulty of executing the attack makes you really feel the power of the stab. An important point is that these controls aren't a random long list of, I don't even know how to read this. It's actually pretty intuitive if you stop trying to think of each button as one animation and start thinking about them as one type of action instead. Like how in Shadow of the Colossus, the right trigger you use to grab whatever wall or object you're up against is also used to grab the grass on the ground, which is basically crawling, in the same way you pick up objects off the ground. Except I don't know what to make of the lightly pressing square to aim in Metal Gear Solid 3. It's not like you lightly press the trigger of a gun to aim down. A lot of games nowadays try to put a bunch of extra buttons for a bunch of extra actions that you can select on the UI, but I like this method better, having just a few buttons and a few simple moves that can be used in a variety of ways. With all of this said, it's not like I want all games to have difficult controls like Shadow of the Colossus or the early Metal Gear Solid games. While I do appreciate the amount of effort those games require from players and the immersion that they create, I think it's also good that more recent games focus on user experience and accessibility, because then it's easier for more people to pick up games and have a good time, especially when some people are not physically capable of the actions I mentioned before. There are still games, such as the Souls games, that like taking dumps on players, and I can respect that. The Souls games are meant to be punishing, and that means not letting the player freeze or slow down time as they frantically try to switch through their items because they were unprepared. So I hope we'll continue to see both types of games in the future. That's it for this video. If you liked it, press the like button and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, and good night.